everyone. I'm Julie Nolke, and this is my TEDx talk. And it feels really strange to say that in the first place, I have to say, because I'm not even sure I fully grasp what's happening. It's all been so surreal. So for those of you that maybe don't know me, I'm a YouTube creator, I'm a writer, and I'm a film and television actor. But a year ago, I was a nobody. Well, I mean, my mom would have said I was a pretty big deal. But in the whole grand scheme of things, career-wise, I hadn't seen much success. And so this time last year, I was making YouTube videos to an audience of virtually zero. And I acted in this one really impressive commercial that had me bite into a donut and then smile. It was a pretty big deal. So what changed? And more importantly, how? Well, in April of 2020, I had a video go viral, like 28 million views viral. And then another one with 11 million views. And then there was a few more after that. And in a year, I went from 50,000 subscribers to almost 1 million. The views on my entire channel shot up from under 1,000 to hundreds of thousands. I acted in my first guest star role for a show. I acted in my first supporting role for a feature film. And I've been labeled by many as an overnight success. You know, the one video that changed my life. And I mean, it's a great headline. It really is, but it's kind of total bullshit. Sorry, but I'm not an overnight success. Unless by overnight you mean like 6 years in the making, 13 if you count my acting degree. In fact, some of the most important years that got me to this overnight success status were the most unsuccessful ones. They were the years where I worked 2 jobs and I auditioned for roles and I made YouTube videos in a vacuum. The years where I continued to face rejection on a weekly basis, where agents told me I should lose weight, and casting directors didn't really like my style of acting, whatever that means. The real success came from the years that you didn't see, the hard ones, not one video. For me, it was the years of pursuing my goal in spite of all of the rejection and failure, and choosing to be brave when every door shut in my face. But see, in my mind, this whole idea of success, it was inevitable. Like, I knew it was going to happen. It was just going to be a matter of time. So today I wanted to talk about pursuing something. Pursuing a goal, a dream, an objective, and what it takes to make it a reality. So maybe let's just go back in time for a quick second. I went to university for acting. I knew I wanted to be an actor, in spite of the fact, actually, that I had a scholarship for an engineering program, which, let me tell you, my life financially would have been a little bit easier, but engineering, it just didn't sit right with me, because it wasn't going to get me the life that I ultimately wanted. So this is where I want to talk to you about goals. So many years ago, I took an acting workshop. And one day, or I guess on day one, the teacher came in and he said, what do you want? But he said, before you answer, really think about it. Think about the life that you want to live and what your definition of ultimate success is, because it's different for each person. And then he said the kicker. He said, be brave enough to say it out loud and to take yourself seriously. Now, I know this might not seem like a big deal to you, but it was really terrifying for me because I realized that I wanted to act in major motion pictures. I wanted to be Oscar worthy. I wanted to be the best in my field. I wanted to be the likes of Meryl Streep. And I mean, well, that's a little bit embarrassing to admit, considering I'd never really acted before, except for in school plays. You know, the audacity to think that I would ever be good enough to be considered for a Best Actor award. But upon reflecting, it was what I wanted. And so I did. I said it out loud. And as terrified as I was, it was true. It's the life I saw for myself that made me the most happy. And it is what I truly viewed as success. Now, the crazy thing is when you admit your goal to yourself, you kind of automatically have to hold yourself accountable. It's like the same if you're going on a diet. You know, if you kind of sort of commit to it, you're going to kind of sort of be successful. But if you say it out loud, publicly even, then there's going to be a lot more pressure in a good way, I would say. Anyway, so this was the beginning for me on my journey to where I am now. It was the moment that I allowed myself to accept and pursue exactly what I wanted. My uncensored dream that wasn't diluted or had the corners sanded down by my own self-consciousness. It was my big, raw dream. And that actually sounds way more sexual than I had intended, but I've committed to it because this is live and it's being recorded. So from there, every choice I made was either going in the direction of what I wanted or it wasn't. And I had to make some pretty big sacrifices. Because see, the thing about goals is they're allowed to change over time. And they will, absolutely. Your priorities will change, your lifestyle will change. But regardless, each and every goal requires you to make calculated choices and risks in pursuit of it. So my first risk was not going into engineering. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but it was. I took several other risks along the way by quitting jobs that I had gotten every benefit from, and now they were holding me back or taking away from pursuit of my goal. Actually, I worked this one really, really cool job. It was a dream come true. So the pay was great. I got to travel the world. I worked with people I love. But the hours were insane. And it took every ounce of my energy. So after 2 years, while it was giving me all this great life experience and paying my bills, there came a point where it didn't benefit me anymore. And instead, it was taking away from what I ultimately wanted and where I ultimately wanted to go. So I quit. Okay, so now let's talk about the YouTube channel, because that was obviously a pivotal part of the story of how I got here. So as I was on this tunnel vision quest to become a legitimate actor and writer, I realized really quickly that I couldn't leave it up to chance. I couldn't wait for the phone call that said I got my big break. I needed to take control and I needed to ensure my own success. So I started the YouTube channel as just one part of my multi-pronged approach. And with that, I also volunteered on film shoots. I invested a ton of my own money into short films. I went to networking events. I did a lot of free or cheap labor just to even get experience. I kept lots of irons in the fire, so to speak, because you never know which one is going to be your golden ticket. So you keep diversifying your approach. Now, as I said this before, I did this for many years without any gains. Hours and hours spent on YouTube honing my craft to an audience of no one. endless auditions and rejections, but slowly I was grinding towards my goal. I just maybe didn't know it at the time, but those hours, they weren't spent in vain, even a little bit. Because in my opinion, I'm a true believer that the key to success, to achieving your objective, it isn't the moment that you get it. It's the drops in the bucket beforehand, to use my favorite analogy. So the symbol of you reaching your goal is overflowing this hypothetical bucket. And each piece of work that you do, it's a few drops. And so you never know which drop will overflow the bucket and get you to your dream life. So you just you have to keep your head down and keep trusting the process, because eventually it will happen. When my video went viral, I wasn't a flash in the pan. I didn't disappear into the ether like many viral sensations do, because I had an entire library of quality content that I had spent years making. People were introduced to me through the one video, but they stuck around to discover all of my previous undiscovered works. And it can be thankless work filling that hypothetical bucket, but it's the only way to get you where you want to go. Those sacrifices of time and energy, they weren't for nothing, because I had faith in the process, in my ability, and in the formula. Because, coming back to the engineering part of my brain, it really is just a formula. It's some talent multiplied by lots of hard work, and then time. And so as long as you're prepared to wait, which for me it was years, then the result, I believe it's just about guaranteed. So I've talked a lot about my own journey, which is still really only en route. I don't want this to come across as though I've made it. But I now want to encourage you to think about yours. Think about your goal, but not just one glimmer of success. Really think about the life that you want to live, and allow yourself to say it out loud. Be brave enough not to censor it or let your self-consciousness downplay it. Whether, I don't know, it's to be the best neurosurgeon in your field, or maybe the dream is to be an amazing parent. If your dream is to be a serial killer, maybe don't do this exercise, but for everybody else, give it a try. And once you've said it, use this goal as your compass. Consider the decisions that you are making in your life and start creating a prescribed approach for how you're going to get there. And the path may not be clear. In fact, I can almost guarantee that it won't be. But with dedication, the only question is, how long will it take you to become an overnight success? Thank you guys for listening.